My name is Alejandro. Firstly, I would like to say that I'm very happy to be here in this conference and also in this beautiful place. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the specialization of the cetacean brain from an evolutionary perspective. And in particular, I'm going to talk about one of the most intriguing neuronal traits of cetacean, that is the loss of cortical layer 4. Okay? The final goal is to determine how these specializations are related to intelligence. Okay? In this line, there's a lot of research concerning the cognitive capacities and intelligence of cetaceans in the recent years. And currently, there are two main views in order to explain their big brain size. Here we have the picture of a brain of a killer whale and our brain. And the first view defends the potential of cetaceans for complex cognition, whereas the second one is in the opposite way. It questions the idea that cetaceans have, let's say, a cognitive complexity that differentiates them from the rest of terrestrial mammals. So here, from a neurophysiologic point of view, one of the principal characteristics of their brains is related to connectivity. Here in this table, I put a comparison between the brain of humans and that of the bottlenose dolphin, because we have a very similar brain in size compared to dolphins, bottlenose dolphins. So we see that all the parameters of connectivity, dolphins are higher as us. For instance, the girification index is related to the amount of neurons that are connected to the white matter. And this is an important fact because that means that they have more neurons connected through the white matter, connecting different brain regions. And as you know, associativity is an important factor for intelligence, associativity between different concepts. On the other hand, we see also a high metabolic turnover. This is important because it was recently discovered that the principal actor of energy consumption in the brain, it was synaptic transmission, not action potentials. So that means that we have a cortex with a lot of synapses. This cortex will have more energetic requirements. Okay? So having said this, let's rephrase again the original statement. That is, what I would like to try to understand is this specialization, how it related to intelligence, and particularly the loss of cortical layer 4, because it's a well-known fact that the common ancestor of all cetaceans possessed 6 layers in the cortex. As you know, cetaceans are terrestrial mammals that are adapted to the aquatic environment. So when they enter into the water, they had 6 layers in the cortex. So here we are going to, in order to explain this specialization, we are going to use the recent developed intelligence and embodiment hypothesis. This hypothesis postulates the existence of a common lower level information processing level that is common to naturally evolved nervous system. Indeed, it postulates that cognition is a evolutionary redeployment of movement control. What that means? That in a given moment, all the machinery that was developed for movement control, to control muscle, was used not only for control muscle, but to control new brain regions, like if they were muscles. Okay? So if we apply this basic hypothesis and we construct a model, a mathematical model, grounded in statistical physics, we get these two main conclusions that are that exist 2 routes for the attainment of higher levels of intelligence from an evolutionary perspective that are reflecting a trade-off between number of neurons and energetic requirements. Okay? The statistical physics models use 2 other parameters that are the number of information processing levels that is linked to the number of cortical layers. It's a function, I mean. And also the cortical connectivity between neurons. So the whole thing is that the model uses entropy as a measure, approximate measure of intelligence, and free energy as a measure of metabolic cost, energetic requirements. Okay? So here the idea is, okay, I have this, and the second route the second route requires, for instance, a lower number of neurons, but requires higher metabolic cost because it's linked to an increase of connectivity. Whereas the first route only requires lower metabolic cost, but at the cost of a higher increase on neuron numbers. Anyway, both routes led to an increase on encephalization. See, an increase of encephalization. So that means that both routes are going to give you bigger brains. So the amazing result is that if we extend the model, the mathematical model, and we compute the specific heat, we got the following conclusions: that the information processing hierarchy doesn't depend on the capacity of heat dissipation or absorption in the cortex. But in contrast, the neural connectivity, as higher is the neural connectivity, as faster the cerebral cortex is able to heat up or cool down. Okay, so now we are going to see what that implies from, in order to understand the specialization of the cetacean brain. The first, we are going to use to compile the facts coming from different research disciplines. The first is that there was, from geology, we know that in the transition from the Eocene to the Oligocene, there was a cooling of the water temperatures in the oceans that caused a mass extinction phenomenon of species. Okay. The second is that from neurophysiology, we know that our brain, the mammalian brain, is very sensitive to change in temperature. The normal temperature operation of the brain is 36, 37 degrees Celsius. If the temperature go up or go down, for instance, if we got a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, we lost consciousness. So it's clear an important factor in the evolution of the cetacean brain. On the other hand, we have the fossil record that tell us that in the Eocene and in the Middle Eocene, the size of the brains of the ancient cetacean was very small. Very small, the size of a potato. And the final research discipline we are going to use is an evolutionary anthropology that tells us that the encephalization spurts that has happened in different species, not only in hominids, are always linked to a social complexity in the animals, not to ecological pressures. So, indeed, what is known now is that we are thinking that we are on top on everything, and the encephalization spurs were higher in the delphinid family compared to the hominids. So what that means, that if finally, let me think, yes. So in order to conclude, we don't understand why, if the number of information processing level is not linked to dissipation or absorption of heat, why they lose one layer. Because if I lose one layer, I have more room in the neuropil to increase substantially the connectivity, something that was crucial in order to control, to heat up or cool down the cortex, because if not, the animal dies. And in conclusion, both theories, both views of the cetacean evolution are partially right, but the most important thing is that a higher number of neurons in the cortex is a necessary but not sufficient condition for higher levels of intelligence. But if future studies confirm the existence of a large number of neurons in the cortex of dolphins, killer whales, or humpback whales, that will rephrase what has been previously assumed about the cognitive capacities of these animals. Sorry for being so fast, and thank you very much.